Yes.
Here we go. Okay, so everything feeds to the east of Hudson. We are considered the west of Hudson watershed where you are right now, which means we are on the west side of the Hudson River. There's also an east of Hudson watershed, which is on the east side of the Hudson River, which is closer to New York City. We have a lot more programs here, and we do a lot more community stuff and helping businesses and educational components than the east of Hudson does. So in the west of Hudson, these are some of our programs that we do. We have a septic program. Our septic program allows us to replace residential septic systems that are not compliant with New York City's regulations, which means typically you have to have a big enough property size for a conventional septic system to work, which includes like a septic tank, which holds all of your waste, and a leach field, which allows the liquids to flow out and the solids to sink into the tank.
Okay, we know this is technical.
Yep, this is a
system.
very popular program here. We have business loans. So we do business loans to businesses who are looking to open up a new business. They're looking to improve their business, expand, anything trying to make it more community friendly, make it more well known, advertising, that kind of thing. But like I said, all these programs are only applied in this boundary line of the west of Hudson. And I have some other sheets here with all the towns that are in the watershed, and then the counties. And so I have a bunch of different maps for you.
Good.
Another program that we have is the education grants. So this is my program. This program actually applies to the west of Hudson watershed and the 5 boroughs of New York City. You know what those 5 boroughs are,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I live.
Okay.
I used to live in Brooklyn.
Okay, so there you go. So if you live in the west of Hudson or any of the 5 boroughs, you can apply for a grant. Typically, our applications go out mid-November, and they don't come back until February 1st. And then from there, we'll grant them, and they'll become available to the person that applied. There's a whole long process of people reviewing them 3 times, going over everything, getting it approved, and that's once they're approved, that's when I start writing up contracts and giving the money to the schools to do their programs. And the programs are mainly to teach adults or children about the watershed, about the water system, so they understand, so they know, hopefully at a young age, to be protecting their water, not to be wasteful of it. Although it doesn't seem like water's an issue up here, we still want to make sure that we're conserving it and protecting it for the residents in New York City. Okay, so those are some of the programs. These are what we have brochures on. We also have a flood program. So we do flood measures, flood mitigation for people in flood zones. So let's say your house is in a flood zone. Flood washes out your house. We will then come in and pay to have your house elevated for the next flood, because they're pretty common around here. I'm not sure if you've seen it or heard about it, but we had a really bad flood here in 2011, Hurricane Irene.
Oh, you really?
Actually, if you look behind you on that wall, see that watermark?
Okay, the level.
That's how much water was in this building
Oh my God.
in 2011.
The flood came to the river?
Yeah, the river's right out front. And you know how, the steps that you came up, how high this building is. And for it to still be 3 feet of water in here, there was a lot of water. So we'll do measures like that, or if you have a basement in your house, we'll elevate your appliances, like if you have a heater or an oil tank or maybe washer and dryer, we will elevate your appliances so they don't get destroyed each flood.
Disaster.
Yep. It can be, yes, very bad. What else do we have? We have stormwater programs here. So a lot of the businesses, they have like a blacktop parking lot. We'll create stormwater basins around them, which is basically it's like a hole in the ground kind of, with a bunch of rocks, and then drainage underneath that. So if you're at a gas station and your car is leaking gas or oil, typically around the gas station you'll notice that there's maybe like a big like ditch or something, and typically there's rocks in it. So this way all that water and polluted water that rain takes away, it gets filtered. So this way when it ends up in the reservoir, the gas and the oil is not in it. Okay? So those are our programs here at the CWC. This is what we fund, and all of our programs are funded by New York City.
The public fund.
It's not, it's the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. So all of that's where our money comes from, is New York City.
Do you have another resources?
No.
No.
Nope, that is
No
it strictly.
fees, no get enter in a park.
Nope. We obviously we invest our money, so we're making, interest and stuff as the money's sitting there. But each program has a certain length of their contract. Like we just signed a contract for our septic program, so they have their own. We just got $86 million from New York City, just specifically for the septic program.
Okay.
The loan program, that's like, and that septic one is good for 10 years. So they have $86 million over 10 years to spend.
It's enough?
Yes and no. Each septic system, on average, is about $25,000. I'm not sure how long the contract was previous, but we did run out of money. And we had to close our program down for a little bit. And the other problem was when someone wants to sign into our septic program, they have to sign a program agreement form.
Okay.
So we have that program agreement form, but they don't decide to get it replaced right away. So we have that sitting off on the side. But we're already accounting for it. So we had like over 400 systems that we're just setting aside for when they do have a problem. But we had the money for it, we just couldn't spend it and sign up new people, because if something did happen to this person who was letting it sit aside and they were already in our program, we had to honor it. So we've caught up on a lot, and our program is back open. We did get our contract for the $86 million, and we're good. We're good to go now. But like I said, each program has their own separate contract, own separate funds.
You have some conflicts about water.
With who?
I mean the farmers that live beside of the river, with tourists, or the state, because you need to conserve the water to supply population in New York. So you need to pay to the farmers, to the lords and around the river. In Brazil, we call it like ecosystem payment program.
We don't have that here.
You pay for then conserve the water, not pollution.
Yes. There's a separate corporation that deals with more of the agricultural side of things, who is also funded through New York City, but I think they also get other funds. That's the Watershed Agricultural Council. So they're more on the forestry side of things. They deal a lot with farmers. They're constantly testing the farmer soil at their, on their farms. And I mean, as you know, a lot of farms are close to streams and stuff. So it is a risk, and they do pay to have like certain basins put in for animal waste. So yes, that's a separate organization that you could look at. They have an office in Hamden and Walton, New York, which is probably about half hour, 45 minutes from here.
Probably pass by Walton.
Maybe, I'm not sure which way.
Yeah, it took a long drive side the Hudson. Okay. I don't know, I lost myself.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of outside. It would have taken you a really long way outside of a normal route, like if you came up the New York State Thruway or something.
When did this program start?
This place started in 97.
Okay.
Yep. In here, I gave you some reading material for your travels if you can read while you're traveling. So I printed out for you the watershed agreement.
Nice.
So this is, this is all the nitty-gritty information on how this place started. And on our website, we also have like audio of, like audio recordings of the discussions and things that happened. And I printed out the text from that portion for you. If you would like, to go on our website, I can send you the link again. I think you probably have it. And this is like the background stuff, like the inside story of how this happened. So I have those for you.
Thanks.
This is also just different organizations, like New York's...
I take my optional training program in Arizona, in EPA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's information on the memorandum of agreement that was signed, the Department of Health, because we also work with them to make sure that everything is compliant, and the health inspections and nothing's getting polluted, that kind of thing. So we work strongly with them. And then here's just a little bit more of a shorter take on the memorandum of agreement. So this is all stuff that you can take back and enjoy on your trip.
Yeah, I put on my dissertation.
Yep. And like I said, this is a list of all of the towns that are in the West of Hudson watershed. So there's the 5 counties. Obviously, Delaware County is the biggest. And on here, well, both of these maps.
When the program was established, I mean, probably you had a lot of public audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the people, folks, the local community participated to establish the rules, the planning.
Back when, years and years and years ago, when the reservoirs were being built, because they weren't.
You mean a century ago?
Yeah, like a long time ago. I could get you those dates. I do not have them of when each reservoir was built.
In the present days?
Yeah.
They participate. You have announced month by month. We had a public audience to discuss the improvements of the corporation, so you are invited to come.
Yep, we do involve the community as much as we possibly can. And, present day, they are very, I think, thankful of our programs, because the average person doesn't have $25,000 just laying around to fix their septic system. They don't have $500,000 to fix up their business. So these programs are to help the people. We fully pay for everything. So the way it works is, if you're a full-time resident here, if you live here full-time, that's what's on your driver's license, we will replace your septic system for 100%.
Oh, good.
If you're a part-time resident and you just come up here on the weekends, we pay 60%, and you're responsible for the other 40%. But that's still, several $1,000s to have to come out of your pocket. And we've had some septic systems that we've had to replace $60,000, $70,000. And the reason for that is, you have to have the right soils, and some people are on bedrock, and you have to drill and hammer down into the ground just to make enough space for this septic system to work properly. So the community is very involved. Did you drive here yourself, or do you have someone drive you?
No, by me.
Okay, so we are also currently building a new office space. You can also check that out on our website. I've been taking pictures since we started. We broke ground last year, October 3rd, and we're almost complete with the building. We're building a $20 million building. That will be our new office, so we're going to eventually move out of this one. And DEP is also going to be in that office. So it'll give us a chance to work closer together. Currently, the DEP office is in Kingston. Now, if you can see where Kingston is, it is not inside of the watershed. So the executive director, Alan Rose's theory is these people are trying to protect this water that's coming out of here. Why are they working outside of the watershed?
Stay there.
So our new office is going to be roughly about right here in Arkville.
Oh,
it's
okay.
only a mile away.
Okay,
yep,
very close.
Yes, very close. On County Route 38. If you would like to go drive by, you're more than welcome to. So that was the theory of this. We should all be working together in a closer area. It would make things go smoothly. If there's questions, we're right next door. Hopefully we won't have to play too much phone tag. And when people come in and they have questions or they're curious about stuff, we are both right there. We don't have to send people to Kingston. We don't have to send them, on a wild goose chase. The idea is for us to work together. Even though we do now, it'll just go a lot more smoother and be a little bit more convenient. And they won't have to travel as far. I mean, if you figure,
Beautiful, beautiful map.
This is Walton all the way over here. So every system that we replace, they have to go check. So they're traveling from here all the way to Walton. That's probably a good 2 hours one way. Just to go check okay on their clipboard.
Form, yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a little bit better on both ends.
I have some questions.
Okay.
Do you consider the program, the corporation,